Hey everyone, I'm TH Pine and welcome to Blockhood. What is Blockhood, you ask? I like to call it an artistic mini-city builder game. It's available in Steam Early Access right now and this is what it looks like. So I actually covered this game a few months ago already, but since this video is supposed to be a full assessment of the game, let me really quickly go over the basics again. So in this game, instead of building a whole city, you just build a small city block consisting of a few buildings and other things like trees and windmills and stuff like that. And in the sandbox mode there is no goal at all, but if you're playing challenged, what we're doing right now, you usually have to gain a certain amount of resources. So every block you can build in this game consumes and produces resources. For example, the windmill consumes money and produces electricity. The water tower consumes money as well and produces water. And trees consume water but produce fresh air and leisure. So we can see our resources over here. This is the amount of resources we have, and this is the current gain or loss of resources. And the goal in this challenge is to gain 100 fish and 100 vegetables. We do that by building a fish farm and a hydroponic farm or planters. So what do we need for that? We need organic waste, water, more water, fertilizer, and maybe labor for it. So to get those things, especially organic waste and labor, we need apartments. So we want to build a small apartment, which is an apartment building where people are living in, and the small apartment produces labor, grey water, organic waste and consumers, but uses up fresh air, electricity, water, and leisure. Good thing we have all those things already, so let's build a small apartment, shall we? So we build it over here, and now you can see my resources updating. We're producing labor and organic waste, which is what we need right now. So let's build a fish farm, shall we? Let's put it over there. And there we go. Now we don't have enough organic waste, so I guess we're gonna get another small apartment. Why not? We have to make sure they're actually accessible, because that's an important thing in this game. Buildings have to be accessible. You can rotate them around like this. Those have a door. The door has to usually lead to either the edge of the block, or like a block where you can walk. Like, for example, the trees, you can walk through those, or the windmill and stuff like that. People can walk over the grass there, so that's not so they can access the building. If you just put a building block in the middle of somewhere, they cannot access it and it will not consume or produce anything. So that's important to bear in mind. We still don't have enough organic waste, so I guess we build more small apartments. Let's build it this way. And now we're running out of electricity. And still not enough organic waste. Let's put down more of those. Okay, there we go. Now we need more electricity. Let's build another windmill, shall we? Over here, for example. Let's see if we are good on all resources. Apparently we're okay right now. So we'll build it. We're producing fish already. Not building. The fish farm is actually producing fertilizer, which is good because this means we can build hydroponic farms or planters. I guess we go for a planter because we actually have labor. So let's do that. Let's put it there. And we're running out of water, so let's build another water tower. There we go. Building blocks doesn't cost you anything. The blocks are just consuming resources and producing resources, as I mentioned earlier. You can destroy them as well if you want, like you can delete them, they're just gone. It doesn't cost you anything, no downside to it whatsoever. You can just rebuild it. We can build in multiple stories, so if you want, we can put things on top of each other, at least on top of some things. Obviously, you cannot build on trees, or we can build on apartments and stuff. And you can build hangovers and stuff like that as well. Like if we go over here, for example, let's build something here, and we can build something here in midair, like that. You have to be careful though, because those things are not accessible right now. That's why they're red. If we actually, that's why they're purple when we're in the access starter thingy. They're red in the production because they're not producing anything because they're not accessible. But they're also gray in the structure data view, which means they are not as stable. Like if you continue building like this, it will collapse eventually. Let's actually do that. This one might. Oh wait, that's outside of the. No, it's not. Why can we not build that? Let me build this. We can't for some reason. Probably because of structure. Okay, it just doesn't allow me to build there, I guess. Because it doesn't have enough structure. So those blocks are not doing anything anyway, though. Well, actually, I think they actually use up. They consume resources, but they don't produce any resources. So let's just destroy them again because we don't want them. They are not helping us right now. We're good right now if we just continue like this. And this is actually my biggest concern with the game. The best strategy, or at least the safest strategy, is to just do nothing now and wait until we get 100 fish and 100 vegetables, which will not take too long, but it will take a while, and there's nothing to do right now. Obviously, we could speed up the process by building more things, but we probably need a lot of things. And we could actually, let's actually build something a little bit more advanced. So let's go for a second story here and get this. Wait, that's not gonna work. I'm gonna change that in a moment. Give me a second. How do we do this? I'm not sure yet. I had a plan, but the plan was rubbish. So those are not accessible right now, so we have to change that. We can do that by building an elevator, but that will not be enough. I think this was a terrible plan. This was a really bad plan. We actually destroyed those things again. that was not a good plan at all. Let me make a better plan. So we rotate this, maybe. Oops, that was too far. There we go. And then we build mid-air. Why not? So we get one. Now that's actually not gonna help either. Well, we can do it this way maybe. So we do this. Oh, we can't build over the trees. So that's unfortunate. Okay, I guess we just wait for the resources to come here. My problem is right now I'm trying to figure out how to make those accessible. We need an elevator for that. That's for sure. So we can put an elevator here. And now we can build, for example, either a corridor there, which is the thing. It just costs money, it doesn't produce anything. We could build corridors like here and make it accessible to the elevator. But that's not a good idea. A better idea would be to build trees there, for example, or actually probably windmills because we're running out of electricity. So let's get 2 more windmills and maybe a water tower. Yes, you can put a water tower up here. Doesn't make too much sense. But as you can see, it gets accessible. How can we do this? Oh, we can build a small app here. And we can build one up here. There we go. That works. There we go. Okay, we need one more, I think, though. If I remember correctly, we need 4 small apartments to make the thing, to have enough organic waste for the water or the fish pool. So let's do this. Get another planter. If the game let me place it, that is. There we go. What else are we lacking now? We're lacking more electricity, so we need more of those things. And we're lacking fresh air. That's bad. Let's build some trees, shall we? This is a little confusing. Sometimes you cannot really click where you want, which is a little annoying. Let's just build the trees up there. Why not? Seems like we're good on resources. Are we lacking anything? No. It would be nice to have this thing being bigger. Like I think it's enough for this level. No, we don't see the leisure. But usually it can happen that this list is way longer if you have way more resources. And you cannot increase this. Like, this is not draggable. It would be nice to have this on full screen, obviously, so we can see more resources. It's a little annoying, especially because you cannot properly scroll it. Like, if you're using the scroll bar, if here, you can see this is not working well. So it actually scrolls or zooms the game as well. And you have to click the very, very thin scroll bar and drag it down, which is not too great. And as I said, now we have to wait, which is a little annoying, to say the least. So that sucks. There would be, well, my proposal to improve this problem would actually be to add time control in this game. Let me speed up time. And pause time actually would be nice as well. There's a pause button down here, but it actually completely paused the game. I cannot build stuff like right now. There's an argument to be made that pausing a game would make it too easy, but to be honest, this level doesn't have too much challenge anyway, so that would not be a big deal. But I can see the concern for later levels. So maybe not pausing, but at least let me speed up, because I'm safe now. I'm running out of money actually. But I'm not gonna run out of money before I have enough resources. We are only lacking 4 fish, so that's not a big deal here at all. I could build, what could I build to get more money? Probably a market. Let's build a market. Why not? And suddenly we're not running out of money anymore, and we're good. And this is a stable cycle. This is not gonna fail. This will just produce resources no matter what. So there was no challenge anymore at that point, and we have beaten this level. So let's go back to the main menu. Other challenge, like this was one of the first challenges. Those are really easy. You just have to gain a certain number of resources. The menu takes a while to blend in, but you can press escape to speed that up. The other challenges are a little bit more advanced. So, for example, in this challenge, you have to get 1000 electricity, but you have to make sure that you don't get too much sickness. And in this level, for example, well, this one is really easy. I actually cheated this. This is really easy. I don't think I solved it the way it's supposed to be. Because like the goal is to build 40 housing units, right? and the level is really small. Let me show it to you in a moment. But the description says that I should find creative ways to provide public space in green areas. However, you don't have to do that at all. You can just build 40 housing units on top of each other and you're good, because they don't have to survive or anything. There's no resource requirement for this level. So it doesn't matter if all those housing blocks are just not gonna do anything and just sitting there. As soon as you're 40, you solve the puzzle, you complete the challenge. I'm not gonna do that now because that will take a while, because as you can see, yeah, this will take a while until I get to 40, but I did it before. That's how I solved this puzzle, this challenge, so that's possible. There are a few mechanics that would counteract this in theory. If buildings don't produce anything, they will decay over time and then get destroyed. So that's a problem. But since there's no time requirement in this level, I just have to build them and I'm instantly finished. They will never decay quick enough before I have those 40 housing blocks finished. So let's skip out of this because this is a stupid level. The next few levels are a little bit more interesting though, actually, and have a little bit more challenging as well. So I showed you, or talked about this level here, the medium or the intermediate challenge. They all have like a resource requirement you have for resources you have to get, and at the same time you have to limit certain resources. However, you can still fairly easy build safe or stable cycles, which will just produce the stuff you want, not produce the resources you don't want, and keep them low, and you don't have to interact anymore at all. And well, actually you have to interact, but you can cheese around that again. So when I played this level, for example, I did build a cycle which produced electricity and all the other resources, I had a positive production rate on all the resources except for sickness, which had a negative production rate. So if you're running out of sickness because you have too many clinics, then at some points the clinics will not have enough work and they will decay and get destroyed, as I just explained. And that could potentially be a challenge, because it means, okay, maybe you have to balance the blocks more so we have enough sickness to not have too many clinics, basically. However, there's a really easy way around that. You can just destroy the decayed clinic and build a new one without any cost. And it's not decayed anymore, and there we go. So that's how I solved this level. So that was not too much of a challenge either. In those levels it gets a little more interesting because you actually have to build a lot of blocks. Like these levels, the first few levels are easy because you only have to build a few blocks to get a stable cycle. Or production cycle. But for those levels you actually have to build a lot of blocks. So we need 30 hotel rooms. That's a lot. And then we need, and at the same time keep those resources low. And we need a lot, 30 factors. Actually, I'm not sure. Can we cheese this? Are the hotel rooms actually creating grey water and organic waste if they're not producing anything? Because consuming anything? Well, not producing anything because they can't consume anything. Let's actually try that. I'm not sure. If this is cheesable, then that would be pretty sad. Where's the hotels? Over here somewhere. Hotel rooms. So we only have to build 30 of those. Are they producing the negative things already? No, they don't. Well, actually, they're producing organic waste. Okay, so that might be a problem. Wait, what was the goal of this level again? 30 with less than 1 grey water and organic waste. So they produce organic waste and grey water. Not at a high rate, though. I think if I'm quick enough, let me restart. If we're quick enough, we can just cheese this level as well. So this game is definitely, like, the designer of this game definitely did not have power gamers in mind. The game is not targeted at those anyway, so that's probably not too big of a deal. The thing is, I'm someone who tries to optimize in games. I'm like, that's my kind of playstyle. I try to optimize things. And the optimal strategy here, obviously, is to just build the things quick enough before we end up with too much organic waste and grey water. I'm not sure if it's possible. Maybe it's not. Let's see, actually. So that's 8, 10. So we need a few more. 12. So, how would I... Well, which things would I introduce to make this more interesting from a strategic standpoint? The game is actually kind of interesting if you're into the artistic standpoint, like building cool-looking blocks, because the game actually has a kind of an interesting artistic style, I believe. If you see some pictures of some cool building blocks, they look pretty pretty, especially at nighttime, and so that's pretty cool. But I personally am not too much into that kind of stuff. So what would I like to see the game to improve, or what mechanics would I like to see introduced? There we go. I cheesed through the level. There we go. So one thing I would like to see is that you have to produce resources in a certain amount of time, because that would force you to get a stable cycle. But you cannot stay with a small stable. Oops, with a small stable cycle, you have to make the cycle bigger and build more blocks to produce enough resources to get to the production rate you need to achieve the goal in the given time. However, you could argue that would make the game less chill, though, because the game is pretty chill, and that's a good thing for a game like this, I believe. The music is very chill as well, so that fits. Having a time requirement obviously would make the game less chill and more hectic. However, there are two things I would propose to counter that. As I said earlier, maybe a pause mechanic would be cool, because then I can pause and have all the time in the world to set up my blocks, and then I can just press play and then make adjustments on the go, basically. The other and maybe more elegant way would have the requirement not be produce that many resources in this amount of time, but instead say, okay, you want the production rate for those resources at this level. You have to be careful though, because I think you can still kind of cheese that by just getting a little resource overhead from the resources you have to consume to get the resources you want, and then just spam out the buildings to get the production rate. So maybe you have to have another requirement, have the production rate, a high production rate for those resources over a certain amount of time, maybe, or have a certain amount of resources and keep other resources low. So combine those restrictions or those goals to level requirements to complete the challenge, to make it not cheesable and make it interesting at the same time. Because I think the strategic challenge in this game comes from forcing you to build complex cycles. As I said, the first levels are easy because I build very small, simple cycles, but as soon as you have to build bigger cycles and produce more resources at the same time and keep your cycle still stable and manage the space you have, because the city block is pretty small, and build in multiple stories and manage all that stuff, it gets more interesting and more complex from a strategic point of view. And I think this would actually produce more interesting looking blocks as well. I mean, if someone is super creative, he will just go in sandbox mode and build a nice block anyway. So that's the sandbox mode for. But in the challenge mode, I think it's cool to have have the challenge to actually provoke you to build a nice or more complex city block, which then in the end might look nice if you're kind of talented, which I'm not, but that's not the point. So my biggest concern actually is exactly this. The challenges are still not really meaningful, and you can cheese through most of them. This is, in theory, if you don't cheese it, okay, this is a little bit more interesting, because you actually have to build a big cycle, and you have to get 30 factories, and having 30 factories running without getting too much organic waste or inorganic waste. Is it organic or organic? It's organic, right? Too much organic or inorganic waste is not that easy if you have to keep it stable. But if you can just cheese through it, it gets really easy and boring. So that's probably my biggest concern. And as I said, especially for the first food challenge, it's really infuriating to not have a speed up time button, because you just sit there and do nothing, and that's a little boring. So there we go. Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about what the game, what it offers. I already showed you. It has a challenge mode, it has a sandbox mode, where you have all the blocks available. Let me show actually how many blocks there are, and you have a little, you can say, set the how big the block is and stuff like that. So what is going to be added? Well, the developers are planning on having a terrain option. I'm not sure what this is going to be about exactly. I just read it on the early access page. I'm not sure what they mean with that, but the thing that sounded more interesting to me is they want to have population as well. Basically, the blocks produce population, and certain combinations of certain blocks produce different people, and this is basically the achievement system. So you try to get certain combinations of blocks to get certain people, or different kinds of people, and this will basically your achievement system. Oh, you found the, I don't know, rock star, or you found the, I don't know, schoolboy, or whatever, something like that. So that sounds kind of interesting. We'll see how this plans out. hopefully in a few months. And let me show you how many blocks there are really quick. So these are all the, I'm not sure what the category is called, but like it's the construction stuff basically. So you have those corridors which allow to walk through to keep things accessible. Those ones are structured. Basically you can build something on top of those. You cannot build anything on top of this. In most cases, you don't want to build this one, and instead you want to build, as I said earlier, like a tree or something like that, or a water pump or windmill or something like that. Something you can walk over as well, but that actually produces something and not just costs money. So the elevators here and some other stuff like as well, like a playground and escalators and the symmetry and stuff like that. Okay, then you have the resource tab, which has all the resource thingies like the windmill and the water tower, algae farm, an oil well, a mist collector, solar heater, stuff like that. Then you have all the different apartments and other buildings, like a bakery and a bar, and a beer garden, and a cafe, waste sorting center, stuff like that. And then you have the environment stuff, like the plants and the trays and stuff like that. A maze garden. You can build a maze. Okay, that's cool. We can build a maze. That's actually neat. Let's build a maze. I'm not good at building mazes, I believe, but I just want to see how it looks. So that's a cool system. I like this. So you can actually build a maze if you want to. And if you have population, they might just wander through the maze. That's cool. Like, that's a cool mechanic. What is this anyway? Oh, it's okay. That's cool. You can use that to have nicer city block, and it produces lasers, so that's always good. So yeah, there's this. Let's go back to the main menu. And yeah, and they will obviously add a few more challenges as well, I believe. At least it looks the way, right? It might look this way. So they might add more challenges. I hope they do, and I hope they improve those challenges as well to make them more interesting. I mean, I think I made enough proposals to make this happen, maybe. Hopefully. Anyway, so let's take a look at the option menu and then wrap up the video, shall we? The option menu is okay-ish. It's not terrible. We don't have a borderless window mode, but we have full screen and window, so that's okay. We have anti-aliasing, we have resolution options. Not too many. I'm not sure if something important is missing though. Well, actually, it should be quite decent. So that's okay. Then we have separate sound sliders, and the game has 3 sound sliders plus a master sound slider. Yay! That's always good. I like that, because I hate to fiddle with too many sound sliders at the same time. That's always annoying. For gameplay, this should be a little bit more explained. I'm not really sure what this means. Does this, like DK cheat mode, does this mean cheat mode is activated? I cannot deactivate it anyway. What does this mean? I don't know. DK recovery easy mode? I have no idea what this means. I would, if I have to guess, maybe if a building decays and this checkbox is not checked, then I cannot just destroy it. Maybe. And like rebuild it. I don't know what the ripple effect is. Blink on production, okay, that's quite obvious. You see them blinking if they produce something. Alert near decay, okay, that gives a warning if the building is decaying. Okay, that's cool. So having those options is quite nice. A little bit more explanation on those would be neat though. So controls, you cannot rebind them, but you can look them up. Yeah, rebindable keys here would be good, but to be honest, you play this with the mouse for the most part anyway, so it's not that important, but it would still be nice to have them. And it's, in general, the menu, the main menu and the in-game menu don't look that nice yet. I mean, it's not super important, but it always gives your game like a little bit unprofessional touch if the menu looks pretty bare bones. Like, this is not nice, obviously. That's just some squares with points, with dots, and I don't know, this doesn't look good, and this doesn't look good either. I'm not a UI designer, so I couldn't really tell you how to make it look good, but I can tell you as a consumer that this does not look good. And the same goes for the in-game menu. It's a little weird. And as I said, it's a little earlier. It's a little inconvenient as well that the resource menu over here is actually limited to this space, and you cannot make it bigger. So that's not great either. The data bits work fairly well, I believe. And yeah, I can show you the key bindings. And well, that's that basically. This is a little weird as well. You have this button, this slider, not a button, which lets you allow to do this. This is kind of cool, but it's not like there's no. I don't think there's a mouse control for it, or in general, you don't control the mouse with the camera with the mouse. It would be nice to have free rotation as well. Like, there's no reason to limit this to 90 degrees. It's cool that it snaps. Like, it's always good because people will have to. So a lot of people have to urge to go back to those perfect angles, and if the camera does not snap, they will have a hard time doing so. So it's always good if the camera snaps, but it's always nice to have the option as well to actually rotate smoothly. So that's good, and this just allows you to build higher, more easy. And yeah, that's it. That's Blockhead. It's supposed to be in early access for like half a year or so, and it's kind of nice. It's not exactly my game, especially because the focus is more on the artistic stuff and not on the strategic part, but it's still kind of cute. I like it, and I think a lot of like people who are like into stuff like Minecraft and so stuff like that, I think those will enjoy this quite a bit, or into city builders in general. It's cool to have I like the idea to have a city builder which is not like that big. Like, if I would play SimCity or something like that, I would get totally lost. I don't like those games because it's way too complex, way too much stuff. I don't care about the problem is. And if I have a city block, that's like kind of like a limited, restricted area I can fill around with, and that fits my style, my play style more, I believe. Anyway, so let's wrap this up. I'm THPine. Thanks a lot for watching. If you liked or disliked the video, please press the like or dislike button below. If you're interested in Blockhead, I will put the Steam link in the description below as well. And, well, have fun and see you next time.